In the 1970/1971 season, Real Madrid, the great giant of the 20th century, was at a fateful crossroads. The glory of the Alfredo Di Stéfano era had faded, and the Yeye generation that had won the European Championship in 1966 was gradually turning the corner. It was a strange season, where the White Vultures did not win La Liga, but wrote an emotional journey when reaching the final of the Cup Winners' Cup, European Cup for national football clubs, only to fall regretfully to Chelsea in the replay. But it was during that difficult transition period that the mettle of the white shirt was most clearly demonstrated. They played football of pride, of a mixture of old experience and youthful enthusiasm. More than half a century has passed. What happened to those young men? Some became saints, some chose a life of seclusion, and some have remained forever in memory. Let me turn the pages of the lives of 16 names in the Real Madrid squad that year. Miguel Ángel González Suárez, a 23-year-old young man from Ourense. In the 70/71 season, Miguel Ángel was still just a sidekick with only 7 appearances, hiding behind the experienced seniors. But it was that patience that forged one of the greatest goalkeepers in the club's history. He was nicknamed El Gato, the cat, thanks to his lightning-fast reflexes and incredible endurance. Miguel Ángel was the embodiment of perseverance, who waited his time to guard the Real Madrid goal for nearly 2 decades. After retiring, Miguel Ángel did not leave the Bernabeu. He continued to contribute as a goalkeeper, coach, and representative of the club, passing on the torch to the younger generation like Iker Casillas. His life was a smooth flow of love for football and family, until the biggest challenge of his life came: ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. Instead of giving up, he chose to face it with a smile and rare optimism, becoming a symbol of the fighting spirit against the disease. He still appeared, albeit weak, to inspire the community. However, that resilient journey had to stop. On February 6, 2024, Miguel Ángel passed away at the age of 76. The departure of the cat left behind endless sorrow, but his legacy of patience and smile in overcoming illness will forever remain. Manuel Sanchís Martínez, a hard-working and intelligent fullback. At 32, Sanchís is one of the veterans left from the 1966 championship-winning squad. In the 70/71 season, he played 21 games and scored 1 goal, acting as a mentor to younger talent. Sanchís's style of play is based on judgment and perfect basic technique rather than brute strength. He is a cool-headed player, always keeping his composure in the most difficult of situations. Manuel Sanchís's greatest legacy lies not only in the trophies he won, but also in the fact that he raised another legend, Manolo Sanchís, captain of the Quinta del Buitre generation. After retiring, he devoted most of his time to coaching youth teams and watching his son's progress. He lived a full life in football, from the roles of player to father and teacher. The connection between father and son was a real fairy tale at the Bernabeu. However, the journey of the great father stopped on October 28, 2017. He died at the age of 79 from a pulmonary embolism, leaving behind a unique legacy, the only family in which both father and son won the Champions League at Real Madrid. Pedro de Felipe, the 26-year-old Rock, was another key stopper for Real Madrid. Renowned for his aggressive style of play and his excellent aerial ability, De Felipe was tasked with killing the opposition's most dangerous strikers. In the 70/71 season, despite some physical problems that limited him to just 10 appearances, the 1966 European Champions class was always present whenever he stepped onto the pitch. He represented the toughness and pragmatism of defensive football at that time. Leaving Real Madrid in 1972 for Espanyol, De Felipe then had a successful post-player career as an agent and commentator. He was outspoken and had a strong voice in Spanish football. However, the terrible disease of cancer visited him in his old age. Although he fought as hard as he had against strikers, human strength has its limits. On April 12, 2016, Pedro de Felipe passed away at the age of 71. His passing was a sad note, reminiscent of an era when defenders played with their lives. José Martínez Sánchez, or Piri, was the soul, the heart, and the lungs of the team. At the age of 25, Piri was in devastating form, scoring 13 goals in 29 games, an incredible number for a midfielder, later a libero. He was the most complete player in history, attacking and defending, tackling fiercely and finishing with a razor-sharp finish. The image of Piri playing with a broken arm or a cracked collarbone in life-or-death matches has become an immortal symbol of the spirit of Madridismo. After hanging up his boots, Piri did not rest, but continued to pursue his studies to become a doctor. He returned to Real Madrid and served the team as a first-team doctor, directly taking care of the health of his junior players. The transformation from a blood-splattered warrior on the field to a caring doctor who treats injuries is a story full of humanity and intelligence. In his private life, his happy marriage with famous actress Sonia Bruno also took up a lot of press because of its beauty and fulfillment. Currently, at the age of 79, Piri has just been elected honorary president of Real Madrid after Amancio passed away, a worthy recognition for the living legend who devoted his life to serving the white color. Juan Carlos Turino, a defender of Argentine-Spanish descent, was an interesting addition to the squad that year. At 26, with 9 appearances to his name, Turino brought the cunning and skill of South American football combined with European discipline. He was a modern fullback, capable of joining the attack. Although not the first choice, Turino always performed well when given the chance, contributing to the depth of the White Vultures squad. After leaving Madrid, Turino returned to Colombia and Argentina to continue his playing and later coaching career. He coached several teams and was active in the Real Madrid Veterans Association. He was a cultural bridge between the two sides of the ocean, a man who always missed his glorious days at the Bernabeu. However, the journey of this expatriate son ended on March 7, 2017. He passed away in Buenos Aires at the age of 72 due to pancreatic failure, taking with him beautiful memories of a time when he was a young man roaming the Madrid pitch. José Luis López Peinado was another name in the defense, or simply José Luis. That season, the 27-year-old defender played 21 games. José Luis was a versatile player, hardworking and intelligent, who could play well on both wings. He was not the brightest star, but he was the kind of player every coach wanted. Disciplined, dedicated, and always getting the job done. He was a hard worker who built a solid foundation for the royal team. After retiring, José Luis did not choose the coaching path, but instead moved into management and administration at Real Madrid. He served as director of football and quietly contributed to the development of the club in the modern era. His life was a model of loyalty and quiet dedication. He avoided the flash, found joy in behind-the-scenes work, and a peaceful family life. Today, at the age of 81, José Luis is still alive and well, one of the few remaining living witnesses of that generation, a silent hero who still watches every step of his beloved team. Gregorio Goyo Benito was the man at the heart of the defense, nicknamed Hacha Brava, the Brave Axe. In 1970/1971, at the age of 24, Benito was the embodiment of strength and determination. With his bushy mustache and fiery eyes, he was the terror of every opposing striker. Benito did not play football with style. He played with heart and blood. In 27 appearances that season, he threw himself into the fray, not afraid of collisions to protect the flag and the shirt. He was a symbol of the Juanito spirit before Juanito came along, the spirit of never giving up. After retiring, Benito became a successful businessman, managing popular bars and restaurants in Madrid, where he often recounted heroic anecdotes to fans. He was sociable, generous, and always maintained close ties with the association of former players. However, tragedy struck this iron warrior when he contracted Alzheimer's disease. The high price of heading and strong collisions throughout his career. In the last years of his life, his memories gradually faded, but the love of Madridistas for him did not. On April 2, 2020, in the midst of the raging COVID-19 pandemic, Goyo Benito passed away at the age of 73. His lonely passing in the context of the pandemic added to the tragedy of a legend who spent his life protecting others. Antonio Betancourt, the giant from Las Palmas, was the main goalkeeper in the important matches of that season. At 33, Betancourt was a solid stopper with a calm demeanor and excellent ability to control space. He was a witness of the Yeye generation, who experienced both glory and bitterness. In the 70/71 season, although he only played 3 matches in the domestic league due to injury and rotation, his experience in this dressing room was invaluable. Betancourt represented solidity, a spiritual support for a defense in a transitional period. Leaving Madrid, he returned to his hometown Las Palmas and devoted his last years to his hometown team before retiring due to injury. Betancourt's life after football was quite private. He retreated to the Canary Islands, away from the noise of the media, living a simple life with his family and the sea. He rarely appeared in the press, keeping a private space for himself after many years of pressure under the spotlight. And then, on March 15, 2015, Antonio Betancourt quietly passed away at the age of 78 after a long illness. He left the way he lived his last years, gently, peacefully, leaving behind the memory of a gentleman in goal, Ignacio Zoco, who exudes a cool composure that contrasts with Piri's dynamism. The 31-year-old Navarra native is the team's anchor. With his ideal height and long stride, Zoco dominates midfield, recovers the ball and controls the tempo of the game. His 27 appearances this season are a testament to his irreplaceable importance. Zoco doesn't run as much as Piri, but he is always there at the right time, using his intelligence to neutralize the opposition's attacks. After retiring in 1974, Zoco continued to be associated with the club as a match delegate for many years. He was a familiar face in press conferences, tours, and was the one who maintained the image and discipline of Real Madrid. His marriage with singer Maria Ostiz was also a beautiful love song in the world of artists and sports. However, on September 28, 2015, Ignacio Zoco passed away at the age of 76 after a long battle with illness. He passed away, leaving a big void in the coaching bench and in the hearts of those who loved his elegance. Manuel Velázquez is the brains of Real Madrid. The 27-year-old midfielder is known as the architect for his magical feet and innate tactical vision. In the 70/71 season, Velázquez played 26 matches, providing the main ball for the forward line. He possesses excellent individual technique, passes that tear apart defenses and classy free kicks. Velázquez plays like an artist, turning the pitch into a stage of sophistication and elegance. Despite his talent, Velázquez was a rather introverted and humble person. After retiring, he did not participate too much in the noisy activities of commercial football. He lived a quiet life, preserving beautiful memories of a time of romantic football. He was the one who kept the core values of the early Real Madrid training academy. However, on January 15, 2016, the heart of that football artist stopped beating at the age of 72. His passing made people regret a classic number 10 model that is gradually becoming extinct in modern football. Juan Planeles, a 19-year-old talent, was a regrettable case of early bloom and early fall at Madrid. In the 70/71 season, he was expected to be Di Stéfano's successor with 9 appearances. Planeles possessed excellent technique and a modern way of thinking, but the pressure of the white shirt seemed to weigh heavily on the young man's shoulders. He struggled to find a place among a sea of stars and the strict expectations of the Bernabeu audience. Leaving Real Madrid, Planeles found himself again and became a legend at Castellón and Valencia, where he played with freedom and freedom. After retiring, he chose the path of youth training, away from the media's glamour. He lived a simple life in his hometown, satisfied with what he had achieved, and never complained about the past. Now, at the age of 73, Juan Planeles is enjoying a peaceful old age, proof that sometimes one step back is enough to take 2 steps forward, and that happiness does not necessarily lie at the peak of fame. Sebastián Fleitas, the 23-year-old Paraguayan striker, was a breath of fresh air. With 25 appearances and 6 goals, Fleitas had a pretty impressive 70/71 season. He brought the power, speed, and ability typical of South American football. Fleitas was an opportunistic striker, always appearing in the penalty area to unleash decisive shots. His enthusiasm breathed new life into Real Madrid's aging attack. However, Fleitas' career in Madrid did not last long. He moved to France to play and then settled in Spain. His life after football was associated with scouting and small business. He chose Spain as his second home and lived a peaceful life with his family. But fate called his name too soon. On April 14, 2000, Sebastián Fleitas suddenly passed away at the age of 53. He passed away while still in the prime of his life, leaving his friends and teammates in shock, a flower that bloomed and then faded too quickly. Amancio Amaro Varela, or simply Amancio, El Brujo, the Wizard. At 31, Amancio was the brightest star, the leader of Real Madrid's attack in the 70/71 season. With 19 appearances and 6 goals, he mesmerized the audience with his dribbling moves and his flexible turns on the right wing. Amancio was more than just a player. He was a symbol of charm, the one who held the key to victory with the magic of his feet. He was a great bridge between the world of Gento and the world of Butragueño later. After retiring, Amancio's influence was even greater than when he played. As a youth coach of Castilla, he discovered and shaped the famous Quinta del Buitre of the 1980 C. He was the father of a beautiful attacking football philosophy. His life was dedicated to Real Madrid, and he was elected honorary president of the club after Gento's death. He continued to appear in the VIP stands with a gentle smile until his last days. However, on February 21, 2023, the Wizard rode his broom to heaven at the age of 83. His departure was a great loss, but his magic was passed on for generations to come. Ramon Grosso, 27, is a great silent hero, wearing the number 9 shirt. Grosso is willing to play in midfield, even in defense when the team needs. In the 70/71 season, with 13 appearances, he played the role of glue holding the squad together. Grosso is known for his absolute team spirit, a man who is willing to sacrifice personal glory for the sake of the collective. He is called obrero, worker, among the galaxy, but it is his sweat that watered the titles. After retiring, Grosso continued to devote himself to Real Madrid's youth academy, being the first teacher of the Lord of the Rings Raúl González. His life was simple and humble, just like the way he played football. But fate was ironic. This healthy and kind man had to face the terrible cancer. On February 13, 2002, Ramon Grosso passed away at the age of 58. His departure left an inconsolable pain for generations of students and fans, who always remembered him as a symbol of devotion. Rafael Marañón, a 22-year-old young striker, was also a promising prospect that season, making 11 appearances. Marañón had an intelligent style of play, the ability to run into space and finish with flair. However, at Real Madrid at that time, he did not have many opportunities. He was like a rough diamond that had not been properly polished at the Bernabeu. Leaving Madrid, Marañón moved to Espanyol and became the greatest legend in the history of this club, with a scoring record that lasted for decades. What is special about Marañón is that, in parallel with football, he pursued his studies and became a true architect. His life was a perfect balance between sport and knowledge. He designed buildings with the same meticulousness as he assisted goals. Today, at the age of 76, Rafael Marañón is still alive and well, a prestigious architect and a respected figure in Spanish football, a testament to his success both on and off the field. Francisco Gento. The great Gento was a whirlwind on the left wing. The 1970/1971 season was the last season of his illustrious career. At the age of 37, with 7 appearances, Gento was no longer the Cantabrian whirlwind of the past, but his presence was a sacred symbol. He was the only person in history to win 6 European Cups, a living witness to all glory. Gento in that season was like an old king preparing to abdicate, handing over the scepter to the next generation with serenity and pride. After retiring, Gento lived a private life, away from all the noise and gossip. He became the honorary president of Real Madrid, appearing on important occasions with a majestic but friendly demeanor. He is the grandfather of all Madridistas, a living history of world football. His life was perfect, flawless, surrounded by absolute respect. And then, the law of creation came. On January 18, 2022, Paco Gento passed away at the age of 88. His passing officially closed an era, but his record of 6 C1 Cups will forever be an eternal challenge for every player in the world. José Antonio Grande is the last character we will mention, or more familiarly Tony Grande. In the 70/71 season, this 23-year-old young man was a diligent midfielder, often used as a strategic rotation option, with 8 appearances in La Liga. Grande did not possess the superb technique of Velázquez or the speed of Gento. He played with discipline and absolute tactical compliance. He was the typical worker player who quietly cleaned up the midfield so that the stars could shine. His role at that time may have been obscure in the eyes of the general audience, but it was extremely important in the eyes of the coaches. But the real magic of Tony Grande lies in the later chapter of his life, where he became the greatest kingmaker in the history of Spanish football. After retiring, he turned to coaching and became the right-hand man, the most loyal assistant of Vicente Del Bosque. It was Tony Grande who stood behind the curtain, together with Del Bosque, plotting the tactics that helped Real Madrid win the Champions League and brought the Spanish team to the top of the world with the 2010 World Cup and Euro 2012. If on the field in 1971, he was just a supporting role, then in the history of modern football, he is a great architect. He is the most vivid proof that an ordinary player can become an outstanding strategist thanks to constant learning. Now, at the age of 77, Tony Grande has retired, living a fulfilled life of a man who has touched every pinnacle of world football glory, but still maintains the same modesty and quietness as the young midfielder he once was.